Okay, so I just wanted to go a little more detail into the assignment statement and what it means. Math, again, assignment or an equal symbol means that like the two sides are balanced or the same. What's happening in Java is it's going to take whatever value is here and store it in the variable name over here. So in this case, we are creating a variable called x and giving it an initial value of 8. Besides just a number here, you can do some calculations. So like what'll happen here is I'll actually divide these numbers first, which I believe is 1.5, and then that value will get stored in a new variable called y, which has 1.5. There's a math class in Java that can do different math operations. So this one does the absolute value of whatever number you put here. So in this case, that should be 10, right? The absolute value of negative 10 is 10, and store that in z. Okay, so just to give you a good picture of like what's happening at this point is, remember these variables are kind of like little buckets. So at this point, we have 3 of them. We have x, y, and z. All right, and then they all have initial values in them. So x was 8, y was 1.5, and z was 10. All right, and so this bottom assignment statement, what happens is because we already declared z here, it already is created in memory and has a value of 10. And then what's happening in this statement is, sorry for the bell there. What's happening there is z is going to be overwritten with whatever z was before, plus y, which is 1.5. Okay, so we're going to add those together and then divide by 2. So z is going to get overwritten with this new value, which would be half of 11.5, which I think would be 5.75. Maybe I should do my math here, but at this point, z is going to be overwritten with 5.75, assuming Mr. Westphal did the math correctly. All right. So that's kind of, it's still an assignment statement. It just, because z has already been created, we don't have to say double again and just overwritten with what's in there. All right, so to make sure we're okay on this, hopefully you can see this. I'll try to make this bigger. So which of these are correct ways to do assignment statements in Java? All right, using the equal sign. So go ahead and give these a shot. And you can assume that they're all separate. They're not part of one program, because if they're in a single program, you can't have multiple variables named x, but treat them as like individual statements. So pause the video, give these a shot. Okay, so first one is no good, right? Because you need the int x on the left-hand side and the 3 on the right-hand side, so that's no good. This one is correct. Right? That's essentially switched what this one was, and that's what it should be. This one is fine too. It will truncate this, so this will actually be 5, I think, because these are all integers here, but it's still syntactically correct. Like it's correct code. It's not going to error. This one is no good. The reason being, you can only have like x here. You can't have x plus 1. All the calculations need to be done on the right side. So basically, this part right here, that's no good. This is not an assignment, so I guess it's a statement. It is a correct way to declare x. So basically, that would just create a little bucket called x with nothing in it, which is actually okay. But it's technically not an assignment, right? An assignment, you'd need an equal sign. So it's correct in a way, but it's not really assigning anything to x. This one is correct. So that's, again, using, let's see if I can spell correct. That's using the math again. So another one is math.square root. And so it does the square root of 64 and stores it in y, which is 8. And then this one, last one is not correct. So what's happening here is you're trying to add 3 to x, but you need to store it, right? So this would just like sort of add 3, but never store it in the x bucket. Okay, so if we need to add 3 to x, it should look like this. It should be x equals x plus 3, right? Assuming you had already declared x earlier and given it a value, that would be a way to update it and update the bucket to be 3 more than what it was before. One quick thing with the math things here, there's a lot of different math operations, so I got a little program here, but if you ever want to see what they are, so I can make a variable made double value or something, and you can see all the different math things by just doing math dot, and you can see they have they have arctangent, they have log, so maybe I'll do log, or you can do the max of two numbers, so max of these two numbers, so 5 and 7 or something. Okay, so we should be able to figure out if I do that, what, max should be 7 there between those two. Okay, so it returns the 7, right? So you can do math dot, and then you have to pass in, these are called like input parameters. And so here we're passing in 2, and it's returning the max, storing it in value, and then printing it out there. Okay, next thing to show you is there's also a thing called shorthand assignment statements. All right, and it comes from like updating this X that happens pretty commonly, so they have a shorthand way of doing it. Okay, so these you probably want to write down. If we want to do add 5 to X, so you can X equals whatever it was before plus 5, a shorthand way to write that is plus equals. So this will just say take X variable, the X bucket, and add 5 to whatever is already in the bucket. Similarly with subtraction, it looks like that, minus equals. Okay, so I want to see if you can figure out what would be the shorthand for multiplication and division. So I can write out some longhand ones for you here quick, and then see if you can figure out what they would look like shorthand. So y equals y times 2, and y equals y divided by 5, or 6. What would that look like in shorthand? Okay, so hopefully we figured out the shorthand version be times equals 2, and then y divide equals 6. Okay, and you will see these and probably use them in your code when you're doing arithmetic operations. It's kind of a handy shortcut. Right, obviously you can do it the long way, but the shortcut is kind of nice. Okay, two other really important ones you'll see is you might want to add or subtract 1. That's super common. So they make even another shorthand for that, right? So you could do x plus equals 1, but they have one just called plus plus x. Okay, and so take a guess. What do you think decrement decreased by 1 would be? Okay, hopefully you can figure out just minus minus x. One other note is you can put it at the end. You can do x plus plus or plus plus x. Either one of those increases by 1. Okay. So again, if you want to try some of this out in code, maybe I'll do it in arithmetic operations here or something, is you can take, let's do int y equals 12, and then if I do y plus equals 6, and then plus plus y. Okay, so you guys can pause here and think, what should y be at this point, right? Just to make sure we got this. Okay, and hopefully you figured out it should be 19. We add 6, and then this adds 1. So at the end of the code, y would be 19. Okay, and so maybe I'll make a more complex one here for you. Here's one for z then. So pause the video and see if you can figure out what would z be at the end of this code. All right, so originally the z bucket would be 7.5 because you can handle decimals because we have doubles. And I think because this is a double, it will actually treat this as 7.5. We'll find out here in a second. Then we'll multiply that by 4, so that would be 30. Minus 1 to get 29. And now we're going to do mod 4. So we're going to do the remainder of 29 divided by 4, which I think would be 1, because you'd have 7 4s for 28, and then you'd have 1 left over. So let's hit the go button and see. Oh, and I'm wrong. So let's see. So I'm guessing what's happening then is this must be treated as probably 7 because it's truncating this because it's integers. Then times 4 would be 28. Then we minus 1 to get 27, and then doing mod 4 would be 3. So that's interesting, actually. Okay, so if we wanted to make it right, we should add some zeros here. And then let's see if that turns out the way we want. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that was interesting. It was doing truncation because I didn't have the dot zeros there. Interesting. All right, final thing for you here then is question to just kind of test this one more time. We've got an int x and we've signed it to be 8 initially, so the bucket has 8. And then which of these statements after they're executed would result in x not being equal to 9? Pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, so hopefully you figured out the one that would fail is this would times by 1 times equal, so it would just still be 8 at this point, so that would not work. This one just increases by 1, so we're good. This is another way to do plus 1, right? Plus equals by 1. This is the long way to add 1 to x, and then this one just overwrites it straight with 9, so that should work too. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. The things to be working on, because this hopefully is a short lesson, doesn't take you too long to go through, is to work on these questions that are assigned in the AP site. And then extra time should be to keep plugging away at these chapter 2 programs. At this point, we haven't learned Scanner. So any of the ones that talk about Scanner, you might want to hold off on those, but the other ones you can be working through. And out on our class page, you should see those too. So here's the direction for how to get in the AP site and access those problems. Again, they're the ones displayed right here. All right, and then here's a link to the chapter 2 program. So those are you can be working on in the rest of the time for today, Friday. All right, that's all. As always, reach out with questions. Email me. I do have a blog. I forgot to put it in this week here yet, but definitely reach out if you have any questions. All right, hope you all doing well. Take care.